all for during the start of our first amazing seminar by Ivana Feldfeber from DataGénero. And today she's gonna talk about AymurAI project, feminist AI in Latin America. And if you have any questions, you can, for those who are joining from Zoom, you can put down in a Zoom and I can address your questions to Ivana. And Ivana will talk for 40 minutes. Afterwards, we can have a Q&A session.
Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. Can you hear me okay? Okay, I will try to do this without a microphone because it's more comfortable for me. But if you can't hear, you can tell me and I will grab a microphone. Yes.
Do you have the, did you put the subtitling on or you don't want to?
How do I do?
Are you on PowerPoint?
No.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
No, never mind.
It would be good, but usually AI subtitles can't understand me. Sorry. I will try to do my best. Well, I'm Ivana. I am a co-founder and director of DataGénero. Directress, I like to say, because director is kind of manly. I started this journey studying programming and how to teach programming to teachers, and then I started to teach different things regarding robotics, programming. I talked about it in the summer school, but I think there are many people that are not familiar with my journey. I am also a social educator. I started working in different slums in Buenos Aires with the topic of gender-based violence around 15 years ago when it wasn't such a popular topic. And then I started to go to technology. I wanted to see where gender-based violence or gender in general met with technology. And I didn't see it in the data sphere, at least at the time in 2018, in Latin America. I started to search for the terms in Spanish, in Google or different search engines, and I couldn't find anything regarding data and gender. So with some people, we decided to create this space. When you see something that is not there, you have to occupy that space with others, of course, collectively. But it's important to do something about it if you feel like you want to do that. So enough with my face over there. I want to change the slide. DataGénero started in 2020, before the pandemic hit. In the March 8th, we did a datathon on gender data. And what we saw is that there wasn't data on gender issues in our country, in Argentina. And we started to look in other countries, and it wasn't sufficient, and it was really, really binary. And when there was like a sex disaggregated column, it was binary, but usually there wasn't a column on gender. So we are a feminist organization. Nowadays in Argentina, being called a feminist is kind of a bad word. It's not something that people want to be associated with. So in these kinds of spaces, I feel welcome. And when we talk about utopias, I always try to say this is kind of unique. In some places in the world, it's not allowed and it's not well seen to talk about feminism and build from feminism. So I'm really happy to be here with this. We also try to build technology, not only say what is wrong with it. We started that way. We started saying biases, and well, we had to do something about it because we were going to become crazy if we didn't act on the things we saw that wasn't fair. So we started to create more data, more data processes in governments, in companies, in NGOs, in civic society. Oh, we can see the the comments. And then we also had the opportunity to start to create AI. So that's why I'm here today. I'm going to tell you a little bit about our development in AI. But first, I will go through a little bit of DataGénero and then the other organization we are a part of that gives the context of our tool, of our creation. So we have three main programs in DataGénero. The first one is regarding AI and society. The second one is gender and data. And the third one is capacity building. We have The AI program works not only with AymurAI, our main project, but we are also thinking about the future of the world, the environment, the future of work, and how it's affecting different jobs in Latin America, AI. So we are doing some research in Uruguay, in Argentina, Brazil, and Paraguay. Then we are also creating gender data on different subjects. We have a lot of progressive laws in Argentina. We have the gender identity law, we have same-sex marriage law, but we don't have programs that will gather the data on how this is impacting people. How many people are getting married of the same sex? We don't know. Regarding gender identity, the change of sex and the names in the ID cards, we don't have that data. And it's important to see the impact on the lives of people. We don't want data to target population, but we want to see how their lives improved by these public policies, or not, maybe not. But we want that information so we can create better futures for everyone. And then we have the capacity building. Like 3 years ago, we had the opportunity to start teaching on gender data at the University of Buenos Aires. I am now a teacher of the University of Buenos Aires. That is really weird because I'm not an academic, but we are teaching this course about public policy and gender data. And we are really happy with the outcomes, and most of the students then come and work with us in different projects. So it's really good. And we are also giving courses to everyone on transfeminism, and data on AI and transfeminism. So we are trying to do something for everyone and to bring the conversation to everyone that wants to have the conversation. Then we have some allies in the world. As I was speaking on Friday on the summer school, we need international support because now Argentina's feminists are being targeted. And having this international approval is very important for us. So we are a part of the Gender Environment Data Alliance, the Information and Democracy Network, and the ICOUNT Coalition. And we are also being funded by the Patrick Shane McGowan Foundation. These organizations are really US-based and from the global north. But for us, it's a strategy. We think that it is important for us to have some validation, and when we are getting attacked in our country, we have some backup somewhere else. So it's a strategy, yeah. And we are a part of the Feminist AI Research Network from Latin America, and I wanted to talk to you about this. This Feminist AI Network was created from the funding in Canada. Canada had this program of feminist AI, and they wanted to create funding for researchers to create AI in a feminist way. So they created like a hub in Latin America, a hub in MENA, and a hub in Southeast Asia. We are the Latin American part. That was conducted by Paula Ricaurte Quijano and Mariel Sasso, that is here, I don't know where. Hi, Mariel. They were the coordinators of this hub. And this hub had a lot of different writings. We produced a lot of theory, but also a lot of projects. Again, funded by money of Canada. I'm going to say this because it's not like everything happens in the air. We need resources, and usually those resources come from those countries. And that's something that happens. And I'm not going to be like shady about it. I'm going to be open about it. And we can have a discussion later on feminist funding, of course. This is our book that we published in 2022 on artificial intelligence and feminisms. It is in Spanish, some of it, and we think it is important for us to create knowledge in our language. We don't have much in our language. When you search for IA feminista in Spanish, you don't have much. So it's important to speak with our own and to bring the conversation. That's why we also translated Data Feminism, the book of Catherine D'Ignacio, to Spanish, because we wanted to bring the discussion of how feminisms can use data and bring it to different spaces of activism for their own sake in Spanish. So now I will give you some examples of feminist AI projects in our network. EDIA is a project by Fundación Vía Libre, and they work assessing biases in LLMs. So they have these huge programs in schools in Argentina, where they teach children and teenagers how to assess biases in NLP, in LLMs, and how to say these tools are not neutral. They have different weights and different ways of speaking that are not the same, and it's not the same how they speak for different occasions. So this is the project. I invite you to see it. I wanted to put QRs everywhere, but it was too much. Like this presentation has like 4 or 5 QR codes, so it's too much, but you have the link here. Then we have a feminist framework for AI that Derechos Digitales created. This is the one. I don't know why the link is not here, but if you search for the title, it will come up. And I think it's also in English too. Then we have a project by Diversa Studio. Diana is here also from Diversa. Hi, Diana. Diversa is a nonprofit from Ecuador. And they created this amazing project with a Yaqui community in Mexico to access natural resources and using AI to see how they access the natural resources. And they did it with Técnicas Rudas, that is another organization in Mexico. And then we have a chatbot for gender-based violence online to help victims. It's called Sofia. It's in Chile. And it's also a great tool and a great example. So this is Sofia. You can enter sofiachat.cl. And last, we have Compost Engineers. It's a project by Coding Rights in Brazil. And they are speaking about what valuable feminist concepts are left behind when we use the term AI. Can we shift the technological imaginaries of patriarchal colonial science fiction that fuse Silicon Valley towards the development of alternative regenerative systems? So this is really cool what Coding Rights do. Everything they do is kind of magical and has this science fiction part. They also write feminist science fiction, so I invite you to search for them. This is the one. And well, these are all the projects, not all, but some of the projects that the Feminist AI Network in Latin America created and helped and financed. We are now trying to think of the future of the network and how we can build more projects together. And our project is called AymurAI. AymurAI comes from the lack of gender data, as I was telling you. And we know that gender-based violence has a lot of different layers in our society, and we can't access how it really affects the lives of women and LGBTQ plus people. We can't, and we can't measure it. We want to measure it because we have a lot of misinformation right now on gender inequalities are not real. Misinformation, no? The titles, and our own president is saying that we are overreacting and that it's not that bad. Men and women are equally violent for him. So when we start to gather the evidence, we have something to back up what we are saying. This is real. A lot of women and LGBTQ plus people are getting murdered or are suffering every day. So we have this fragmented data. We have some data on feminicides and trans feminicides, but we don't have enough data on what happens before that. And a lot of it's in the household. Women and diversity are not going to the police to say, hey, this is happening to me. Because police, we know it's violent and they won't hear. Sometimes they will laugh at the victims and they won't believe hers and them. So the data that we can grab on gender-based violence is the judicial data. the data on criminal courts, or that the judges that are saying, okay, I'm ruling in favor of the victim, or this is a gender-based violence case, and I'm not ruling in favor of the victim. We want that information because it's being registered. Someone in some computer in the world is registering that and putting it in a Word document, and usually it stays there. That's pretty much what happens with these files. But there are some places that are starting to create structured data on these files and saying, okay, this line is a ruling, this one, so we can access that information. So they were doing this manually, and we thought, what if we could use AI to do this and help them to build these data sets, creating rows in a spreadsheet with AI from documents. So this is AymurAI. AymurAI is the Quechua word for harvest. We want to harvest data, and we want to cultivate it and use it for more things. And we are not only using it for gender-based violence, but this is our main goal. We are kind of a Trojan horse. We are going like, okay, you have this tool to create data on everything you want, everything, but we have a special interest in gender-based violence. But that's the only way we could get judges to access, to install this app in their criminal courts, is by doing everything, not only gender-based violence. So this is from myself's presentation. We use NLP techniques to semi-automate two pipelines, the anonymization pipeline and the databases. We created this anonymization pipeline because we want documents to be anonymous so we can read them and access the whole text, not only the database. But that's also because most of the criminal courts want this, not this one. The creation of databases, they are not interested in this. They are not compelled to create databases, but they are compelled to anonymize. So if I go to a criminal court and I say, hey, I want this ruling, they will print the ruling, cross over all the information with a marker, and then take a picture and send it to me. That's what they are doing nowadays. So if we have this tool, they start to adopt like this digitalization, and they start to do it efficiently. And then we say, hey, we also have this one. Maybe you can create some databases. And they usually do it. That's how it's working for now. As you can see, everything is kind of artisanal in this project. I will tell you a little bit more about it on this. Oh, okay. So what it cannot do, it's really important, this one, is we are not doing risk prediction. We are not predicting if a man is going to be violent to a woman. We are not doing that. And we are not generating text. This is not a generative AI. It's a name entity recognition AI, very simple, not state-of-the-art algorithms. So for us, it's important to say this, because usually when we say AI and criminal courts, people go to a lot of places and Minority Report. We are not doing that, and we don't want to. We don't want AI to do that in our societies. I am not in favor. I am not a fan of AI. For me, I prefer work without it, but it is there. And now when you say AI, money comes. Every project has, it's like that in civil society. I have a friend working with homeless people in Buenos Aires, and she writes to me, hey, I need to know how to put AI into my project so I can get funding. It's funny and so sad at the same time. So that's why we are using AI. Paola came to us and said, hey, put something here in this project of the Canadian funding, create something, and we can fund it. We can create something with it. So we seized the opportunity to create something different. Differently, we are not selling our app. We are giving it for free. And that's a different way of doing things nowadays with AI. Everything with AI, at some point, you will have to pay. You will run out of tokens. Everything will be paid at some point. This is not the case. So we are trying to create something different. So we have this really complex language. Judges are speaking in the hard way on purpose, of course, so we can't understand. But AI can also help us to read some of it and also read it in the data language. So for us, it's very important. We are also working with some judges that are friendly with the idea of clear language, like plain language. So they are writing everything so we can understand it, and that's great. I didn't know anything about the criminal court system before this project. I am not a lawyer, so I learned a lot just from doing. So that's why the other day I was saying I am a lawyer now, because I read a lot. But don't be afraid if you don't understand anything. Something you can raise your hand and ask, of course. And then we wanted to help some criminal courts that are doing these databases by hand to do it semi-automatically. And we say semi-automatically because we don't want people to trust on the AI and say, okay, you said this is going to my database. We will always want them to check because AI makes mistakes. It will, it does. So we want always to have some kind of checkpoint with humans and to validate everything that the AI detected. So this is a weird project because it has 4 different actors. We have DataGénero, we are nonprofit and activists. We have startups, we have academia, and we have government working together. Academia is Mai and KTH. Thank you for all your knowledge. We have 3 startups working with us. We are paying them, of course. One for the backend, one for the front end, and one for packaging for Windows. I will talk about the systems later. And then we have the government. In the government, we have different offices that are not only implementing AymurAI and using it, but giving us feedbacks as users so we can make it better every time. So we are giving it for free. The only thing we ask is for more data, more open data on these particular subjects, and also for feedback on their use. So every few months, they send us a report and they say, hey, we would love for AymurAI to do this, or we don't like the way this button is here and we need it here. And we decide if we want to do all the things that they need design-wise. But that's what we are doing with the users. So it's a very dynamic app. We have like 20 versions of the app. We are in the version number 20 now because we are doing small releases. That is why I was working there earlier, and today we are releasing the new app with a lot of different features that are new. For example, now AymurAI can read PDFs. Before that, we only read Word documents, and now we read PDFs because a lot of people in government are using I Love PDF to upload really sensitive information and then extracting it and using it in Word. So we wanted to do this. Our differential here is that we are not working with cloud services. We are having small AI models installed in judicial servers. It's a lot of work because we have to talk with every IT department. Some of them don't know our technologies. We have to train them on how to use them. And every time we have an update, like today, I have to send emails to everyone. Hey, because this is offline. And I will do a live demo. It can go wrong, but I think it will be okay. So you can see what the app is about. AymurAI is being implemented nowadays in different offices in Costa Rica and Argentina. They are using it for open justice because they want more open processes. But it all started with the criminal court number 10 of the city of Buenos Aires. Since 2016, they have been opening their data and their criminal court rulings because they believe in open justice. They believe that the judicial system should be transparent and we should all be able to see what is happening. It is not the case in Argentina. It is really not transparent. I don't know the word in English. Opaque?
I don't know if that exists.
Okay, so it's not transparent. We can't see anything. We can't understand why they are ruling in favor or against. And they believe that it should be accessible to every citizen. They started to open their rulings to everyone, so everyone could go to the room and hear what the judge was saying. So really unique. So with them, we partnered to create AymurAI. They helped us to create this tool, and they were the first to trust us to install it in their servers. So when we had this criminal court using it, everyone else said, okay, I trust you because you have one pilot working, and some judge already trusted you, and you can do it. And I want to mention this because it is kind of unique to have a judge trust you to build technology and put it in the criminal court. And we were really privileged on that. Not everyone has that privilege, and we did it because in that March 8th that we were in the Datathon on gender data, the judge was there, and we met, and the secretary of the judge was there, and she co-founded DataGénero with me. It was kind of by chance, and we have been partners ever since in this criminal court and in our organization. So a lot of factors had to come together for us to build this. And it was because of this office that wanted to do things differently. They almost reached burnout because of this, because they had to do a lot of extra work to show transparency and accountability in the criminal court. And I never thought I would be speaking in favor of a criminal court ever, but I am. So they have these 3 pillars: digital transparency, public engagement, and clear communication. They opened a Twitter account when it wasn't awful, and they started to communicate everything there. They have Power BI and different visualizations of the data too. I urge you to search for the criminal court because it's really interesting what they are doing. And now AymurAI. I will switch screens. Let me see if I can do that. Okay. Wait a little bit so I can exit the full screen. I don't know how to do it. Okay, I got it. So now I will share again. Sorry for the improvisation, but I think it's important to see what we are talking about when we are talking about software. So this is AymurAI. My computer may freeze at some point because I am running the AI locally in my computer, and also Zoom and also Canva. So be patient. We have 2 ways of accessing AymurAI. Locally, like I'm going to do with my computer, but most of the users enter via a server, and if you enter via a server, you have to go to the address of the connection, the API. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go locally, and a window will open because it's searching for the server. Then we have 2 instances, the database and the anonymizer. I'm going to go with the anonymizer because it's the most advanced part now. And we have docx and PDF and all the instructions on how AymurAI is working. We select the file, the AI will process the file, we will validate that the information is okay, and then we will extract the document. We will export the document. So I'm going to put a ruling that it's fake. It has a lot of fake information, so don't worry, you won't be reading anything sensitive from anyone. And this was preloaded. It takes a little bit more time, like 10 seconds, not 1, but just so you can imagine how, if you have to process 1,000 documents, 10 seconds per document, it's a lot sometimes. So this is the interface, and we have the search bar if I want to anonymize something that is not, and all the tags that are here. We have González Marcelo is the accused, and it's going to, instead of this name, it's going to put person on top of it, so we won't be able to access the sensitive information. We also have these icons. We can, if this is not right, and it's not a person, it's, I don't know, a company, we can change the tag. and I will put replace all, and I will put, instead of person, I will put that this is, I don't know, a witness, for example, testigo. And I can add numbers. Witness 1, 2, 3, if I want to change who I'm speaking about. So González Marcelo will be changed to testigo in every occurrence. So this is basically, it's not super complicated, but it was software development for Windows and without connection and locally with AI. So it was a lot of work. As you can see, it detects dates, addresses, the age of a person. We have around 30 labels that the AI detects. And if they don't detect it, we can put them. For example, if this word is something I want to anonymize, and it's a link, I will select it, and it will be anonymized. So we have some kind of edition going on there. And for criminal court officials, this is really good because they have to do it with a marker and take a picture. So remember that. Once we anonymize the document, we can download it. I will put some numbers here because I have a lot of versions of this one to show. And then I'm going to go to here, and it will open a document at some point, maybe. Yes. So this is the redacted, the anonymized document. You can see that this is witness, and everything is that is anonymized is in brackets. So basically, as you can see, we have images and things here that the AI didn't show on our front end, and that's because it's a lot of work to show images, and we are choosing not to do it in the header. If there is an image on the text of the body, it won't be exported because it's usually something sensitive. So we decided just to not put it there and save us a little bit of coding hassle. So this is the version of the anonymizer. If we want to go to the data set, there is another path that reads the information and puts it in a form. But I don't have a lot of time, and I want to keep going. But the demo was okay. No, Mike? Are you happy? Something happened here, but I'm going to present here. Great. I don't know what happened. Okay, so these are the minimum requirements we are asking for local computers and servers. This is for servers in the judicial systems. It's really low, it's fairly low. So a lot of IT services can install our app without a lot of processing power. We have now one province in Argentina that has 4 million inhabitants, so it's a big province that want to use some LLMs for our tool, so they bought some processing, some processors, some GPUs for us to have bigger algorithms, bigger models. We are in the process of that. We didn't do it yet, but that's something that we're going to do. Most of the judicial court offices use like this, but we ask that it's dedicated to us, not shared with other processes because it will explode or go down. So some challenges and opportunities. As I was saying, all the criminal court offices work with Windows in Argentina and in many countries in Latin America. But our designers work with Mac and our engineers with Linux. So it was a huge challenge for them to try our tools and to develop. And they have these old computers at their home with Windows installed, because if you try to do it virtually, it's not working. We tried, believe me. So we had to salvage some computers with Windows so they can try and they can go and do things from Windows to Linux and vice versa. So it was a huge challenge. Also, the installing of this app in Windows locally, it's a pain. It's really, really hard. I am using Docker right now, but a lot of computers are not compatible with Docker. So we are hiring a company that is creating a package installer for Windows so you can click and install it easily. But no one wanted to do that. No one wanted to touch anything regarding Windows applications offline with AI. It's kind of niche, but we, after months of searching, a team evaluated what we have already done that work for 50% of the computers, but the other 50, no. And they are fixing it right now, hopefully. So that was a huge problem. As I was saying, servers are local. We are not using cloud servers for anything. Because the judge of the criminal court number 10 said, okay, you can create this anonymization and database tool, but all the data of my criminal court won't touch the cloud for anything. So he was really strict, and we are thankful for that. But we had to come up with ideas and solutions because we can't install Llama on these servers. We would love to have some bigger models that can do different things. For example, create an abstract of the ruling so we can read what it's about without having to read 20 pages. But for that, we need more processing power than the one we have, and we won't be able to do that, for now at least. And also, because of that, we are respecting people's privacy, and nothing is being put out there. The judge always says, like, when you put something online, it will come against you at some point. So be careful with that. And if we, by accident, put a name out there, it can ruin a person's lives because we're dealing with judicial data that can be very targeting for people, like stigmatization.
Stigmatization.
Then, as you saw, we made some design decisions. With the help of Mai and a designer, we created an app that was not the feminist app. It wasn't purple or green, or we wanted to be very like neat and that it would blend in with all the different tools that they already were using. So it wasn't like disruptive. So like a Trojan horse, not for bringing everything down, but where the feminists that have this app. It doesn't say feminism anywhere. And also how the usability will be. The criminal court number 10 helped us a lot in this back and forth on how to build an app that will help everyone to do their jobs better and easier with our tools. So we are happy with it. You can try it afterwards if you want. And the app distribution is really artisanal. We don't have a message that says, you have a new, because you need to speak with the IT department. They need to upload the image of the AI, and then they need to install the new version in each computer. So doing things right, it's more difficult sometimes. Doing it safe, it will be so much easier to have a web app, a web page that you will upload the document, it will process it and bring it. We have that in Argentina. Of course, there are some criminal courts using it, but we don't know where that data is going. And that can be a problem for the office and for the people also. So doing it this way, I think it's the best way for now. If you have thoughts, we will be happy to hear them because we are learning in the process. I am now the CTO of AymurAI, but I am not an expert. I have a lot of people advising, of course, but we are doing it step by step. So every help is welcome. And then the question of what does it mean to build feminist AI for Latin America, I think that it's important to say that we have a lot of principles and ways that we want things being done, but actually doing them is the hard part. And I think that this project, along with other projects that I show you, is trying to answer this question. This is one way. Of course, maybe it's not transferable to each scenario, but we did it with a lot of sensitivity, a lot of transparency, we are hearing what the femtech and the feminist tech community is thinking and trying to apply it to this. And then why free and open source AI? I think that the future should go here if we want to keep messing around with AI. It should be open source, it should be distributed, and each country and each region should have their own algorithms and models. We don't want one general AI for everyone. We want smaller, and smaller also means more transparent and more auditable. We need that. We have all our models and all our code on GitHub, so everyone can see it and examine it and audit it. For us, it is really, really important. And I think we should try to share our models, to recycle our models, to reuse them, is friendlier with the environment also, because we are not having this big processing power for small tasks. Asking for a recipe for ChatGPT is, we need to really measure what we're doing. We have this awful saying in Argentina, like killing birds with a huge gun. But it's something like that. We are using a lot of processing power for really small tasks, and maybe small algorithms would solve that. And then, of course, feminist funding. This is the huge issue when we're talking about building AI, because it is expensive. Last year, we spent almost $100,000 on our project. We spent it and we had zero revenue. So we are being funded by a foundation in the US that wants these kind of things being made for now. I hope they want to continue in the future. If not, we will have to think about another business model. But building AI is really expensive, and we have really cheap programmers because they are okay and they want this cost and this experience, and that's why they are doing it for $20 the hour or $50. It's really low compared to the price of an average programmer. But we have to think about how these big funders are putting money into projects and then leaving. So we created something that is meaningful, that it has a lot of impact, but then we don't have a way to sustain it if we are not a startup or a for-profit organization. So this is the hype of AI. We're creating AI for climate change, AI for poverty, for hunger, and then what do we do with it? I think it's some kind of fetish of the rich people, like how AI can improve. No, we don't need AI to improve our lives. We need a lot of different solutions for that, but it's not AI, and they keep insisting on AI. And when they see there is nothing there, they go away, and we spend a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of money on building something that it will become obsolete if no one is using it or sustaining it. So we had this pilot in the criminal court number 10, and I was afraid to sell it. We are not selling it, giving it to the criminal court officials in other offices, because we didn't know if we would be able to have tech support for it, for example. It wasn't responsible to offer a tool that was going to end up being obsolete or out of date at some time. So we have that responsibility. But I think we are now bigger enough to think about different ways of funding. I don't know how, but we are trying to figure it out. We wrote a paper with Mai and many authors. One of them is a labeler of the project. Santiago was labeling the data for the training of the algorithms. This is the QR of the papers if you want to read it. If you want to know more about the paper, you can ask Mai here. I won't be speaking about it, sorry. And you have the presentation on Kai that was recorded because we won this paper. This is our website. It is in Spanish, but you have the English version that has a lot of less information, but it has information. This is the GitHub and the Hugging Face. I will send everything here on Slack channel, don't worry. And then this is the people that we partnered and founded us and helped us along the way. And this is my contacts, if you want.
Thank you for a great talk, Ivana.
Thank you.
And now we have 15 minutes for